God, I'm so ready to see that damn movie.
I saw a couple of more commercials before I hopped on. I'm hoping that if because the game I'm working Saturday is only at 4, so I should be home probably by 8 or 8:30. So hopefully I'll be able to watch it Saturday night. But if not, I'm watching it Sunday for sure.
Yeah, I'm going
Which
probably Friday night to see it.
which if Wally needs it, I can give him the login to my Peacock account so he can watch the movie.
Oh, that's right. It's going to be on Peacock too. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I want to go to the movies to see it though.
yeah. I'm gonna talk with Samantha and see if maybe she wants to go like either like really late Saturday or do like a early evening Sunday.
Yeah.
Let's see. But there's a lot of good stuff coming out over the next couple of months.
I know.
Yeah, Halloween
Ghostbusters.
Kills. Yeah, I maybe you can help me out with this. So I want to do for the last big episode of my show. I want to do the week of Afterlife. I want to do a Ghostbusters roundtable.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'd want you and Wally to be in it, but I'm trying to think of maybe two other people that
Um,
could do it.
who else do we know that's really into Ghostbusters and stuff?
That's what I was trying to think of.
And Steve might be up for it.
Yeah, I'll see him on Friday, so I can always ask him. He
Maybe Jacob. He might be into the Ghostbusters, even though he's kind of young.
make him the youngest
Yeah.
person to ever appear. Now, I'm I have no idea who the youngest person is that's ever been on my show. That's
I
a
don't
lot to
know.
go through. But
I,
my plan is like I would release that the week of Afterlife. Then the following week, which would be the week of Thanksgiving, I do like a live show that would include a review of Afterlife and then kind of go into like the new show and everything. So
yeah. Man, I can't stop yawning. I'm tired tonight.
yeah, I am too. Like I've had to have like I've tried to condition myself to only have one cup of coffee a day,
Yeah, that ain't gonna work for me.
but no, I had two today. I went to on my lunch break. I went and got coffee.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but it's just, and I slept fine. I've just been really like sluggish
yeah,
today.
same here. We have to let everybody know too that we need to get our Patreon numbers back up. We've lost some patrons and we dipped below 50, so they're gonna get
Oh,
punished.
who all do we lose?
uh, actually, you can look on the Patreon, and I think a lot of it has to do with people with Patreon changing their stuff every couple of months, and people have to go re-enter their credit card information or
Gotcha.
whatever. And I don't think if they're not paying attention to it, then it'll just lapse and lapse until they go back and redo it.
So the list on the Google Doc, is that up to date? It
Yes, yeah, I
Okay,
just
yeah,
did
it
it.
does look a little shorter.
Yeah.
Well, son of a bitch.
uh,
Uh, all right, let me share this to Facebook real quick, and I'll be ready.
oh yeah, I need to go to Twitter.
We'll be reviewing Metroid Prime 4. There's some things with Metroid Prime that I'm going to talk about that I'm not sure you're aware of, but it was little nuances that I forgot about until I started playing the game again and kind of explored, some of the bonus features.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
By the way, there's a conspiracy that I want to talk about too.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
The conspiracy is that we're not doing a poll because you and Wally haven't been happy with the results.
No, what?
I'm kidding. I'm giving you shit.
What just happened? Why did it? Why did my soundboard just go completely full screen? What are you doing, soundboard? Good Lord. That was weird. Now we're just going to do the round table for
Yeah,
next
no,
month.
I think it's a good idea. If we do another poll, though, I already know what I'm going to put.
All right, we got to get it back up over 50 before we do any more extra episodes come November.
So is the round table, is that going to be an exclusive, or is that going to be the...
It'll just be the extra episode for the month.
Okay.
And Patreon funded extra episode, but it won't be exclusive to Patreon. It'll just be our extra episode for the month.
Okay. We'll need to also figure out a time to do the Ghostbusters watch along.
Yeah.
But we've still got a couple of weeks to do that. So
All right.
I've got the tabs all set. So whenever you are ready, I'm good to go.
All right, I'm good to go too. See if I can remember how to do this. In 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
I just want to start the show off by saying I'm sorry to everybody for not having a show last week. It was a bit of a heavy week for me and my nephew, Michael. And we're just putting this out there, you know, if it could help other people. But my 15-year-old nephew, Michael, took his own life last week. And just want to say, anybody out there that battles depression or anxiety, there's a way out. Just talk to somebody. You know, there's always people you can talk to. There's help you can get. That's a final solution that once it's done, it's done. So if you're out there and you're listening, you ever need anybody to talk to, you know, I'm here. I'm sure Derek has his ears open. So please, if you're in that situation, there's always someone to talk to.
Yeah, there's always another way.
Yeah.
And when you called me and kind of explained what happened, and you know, my deepest condolences go out to you and your family, because I cannot imagine what you guys have been going through over the last week or so. So, you know, even though I know that, you know, we talked a little bit before we started and you said that you're doing better, but you always know that I'm just a phone call away.
Yeah.
If you need to chat. So
it's just been tough, you know, like you don't even know what to think, like how to feel, or it's just the emotional wreckage that gets left. Like, and I understand the thinking, you know, battling with depression and anxiety myself most of my life, that you have those thoughts. I've had those thoughts before, but to actually go through with it and to think that everyone's better off without you, it's not true. Like the emotional devastation that's left after something like that is incalculable. So just know that there are people out there that love you and will do anything for you. So there's always another way.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Whether it's, you know, a friend, or sometimes it's even talking with a stranger.
Yeah.
You know, there's always someone there that can help. So yeah, definitely reach out. You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
But on to, you know, happier news. How has your week been?
It was good. I got to go to Orlando and go to Disney
I'm
World for a
so
couple of days with
jealous.
Samantha. I got to see Galaxy's Edge for the first time, which I'm not gonna lie, I got a little choked up
I
whenever I saw the Millennium Falcon. So that was
bet.
it was all really cool. And I've seen photos and video on YouTube and other news outlets that have shown like the opening of Galaxy's Edge and everything. But and longtime listeners know we're both huge Star Wars fans, so that was a dream come true because I can remember going to Disney World as a little kid and thinking I would love for there to be a Star Wars theme park
Yeah.
one day. And now, it took 30 years after I first thought that in order for it to happen. But I also got to my friend Luke, who I've been good friends with for a few years. He used to work with me at the Blue Wahoos. He's been living in Orlando now for the last couple of years, so it was good to meet up with him and catch up because we still keep in touch. But that's the first like face-to-face conversation we've had in probably almost 2 years. So that was really cool.
Well, I'm hoping I can get to Galaxy's Edge next year sometime. I've been so looking forward to it and wanting to go. So I just got to get there. I just have to do it and get there because you kept sending me pictures and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so jealous right now as I'm toiling away at my day job.
Well, I was trying to brighten your day, but if you go, I didn't get to do Rise of the Resistance because we're going back in January with Samantha's family.
Hmm.
So we're going to take an extra day to go back to Hollywood Studios to do a couple of things that we didn't get to do. We did do Smuggler's Run, and I will just say this. I got to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Nice. That's so
It,
awesome.
it was it was great. It was great, but it was great to just kind of get away from the norm for a few days. And
Yeah.
it's been kind of to I mean it's been a couple of weeks. I mean I can say it on the podcast because it's kind of public knowledge. My supervisor was we've been having some structural changes within my work, and my supervisor's job is being eliminated. So he is not with the company anymore, which sucks because he and I have been friends and have worked together now for the entire time that I've been there. So it's been an adjustment, and that, and just having to do essentially the job of two people
That's always
for the
fun.
last couple of weeks. So yeah, it's been and there have been some other changes too, and I think there'll probably be more before the year wraps up. But it's been an adjustment at
Yeah.
work because I mean, as someone who's you've done everything like work wise, almost hand in hand, like we've been a team for 8 years, and then just like that, it was gone.
Yeah.
So,
That sucks.
but yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Well, last week or so, I really haven't done much gaming. Wasn't really in the mood.
Right.
But I did watch a lot of TV. Well, catching up on movies and stuff. I watched The Muppets Haunted Mansion the other night. It's so good.
I want to watch it so bad.
And it's got Pepe. Like Pepe is my favorite Muppet character, and he's all up in it, and it's so good.
I when I saw the original poster when they advertised they were doing it, I thought that was just a genius concept because you look at the Muppet Christmas Carol and it's up there with the best versions of that story
Yeah,
that's ever been made. And you look at movies like The Great Muppet Caper, Muppet Treasure Island, like just pure fun movies. And
yeah.
I have no doubt that the Muppets Haunted Mansion is up there with it too.
Well, I hope this is kind of a beginning of new Muppet content, because and it, they don't have to make full feature length movies anymore. They could just do stuff like this, like hour long Muppet specials. I would love to see another like old school style Muppet show on Disney Plus. Like I would be all up for that. I just want more Muppet content.
I even liked the show they did a few years ago that was almost like The
Yeah,
Office.
I did too. I
I
enjoyed
thought
it.
it was great, but they just canceled it.
Yeah. But if they're not going to do that and they just do, 1 hour long Muppet specials, I'm okay with that too. More along the lines of this stuff and putting the spotlight on some of the secondary characters. Like, I love Pepe. I've loved Pepe since he was introduced, and to have him be not quite front and center, but like the sidekick for the Gonzo is front and center on this one, and Pepe is sort of like the sidekick here. So he gets just as much screen time as Gonzo, and I just had a blast with it. I want to watch it 2 or 3 more times before Halloween.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it before Halloween, and I know that you and I are both watching Halloween Kills this
Yes,
upcoming weekend, which the marketing has just been going crazy
I
for it
know.
over the last couple of weeks. Like I can't turn the TV on without seeing a commercial for it.
Hmm.
I've been stoked for this movie, yeah, because it's essentially been in the can now for a year because it was supposed to come out
Yeah,
last Halloween, but it was postponed a full year due to the pandemic. But there's this, I don't know if you feel the same way, but uh, they're making it out to have a certain finality to it.
yeah,
But I mean, we all know it's not because there's going to be a third movie in this entry called Halloween Ends.
yeah.
So how's this movie going to end?
I don't know. Maybe Michael does die in this one, and then Lori becomes the bad guy for the third one, and they have to take
Maybe
her out. Maybe that would be kind of cool.
that'd be an interesting twist.
But if you're interested in the Halloween series, the movies that made us season 3 just dropped the other day too. They do Aliens, Aliens Friday the 13th, Halloween, RoboCop, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's a damn good selection.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
We watched the original Nightmare on Elm Street a couple of days ago. We've been going through and watching, some classic horror movies since October started.
You can
So
go listen to our in the archives. You can go listen to our roundtable discussion of Nightmare on Elm Street that we did last year, year before.
I want to say it was the year before because last year, what did we do last year?
Because I still have a whole soundboard here full of Nightmare on Elm Street
Up
stuff.
yours with a twirling lawnmower.
Yeah. But speaking of Halloween Kills, before we forget, we're all going to watch it this weekend, and we're going to have Mr. Joey Image himself back. We're going to do a roundtable for our extra episode next month. And we'll do a roundtable with Mr. Joey Image and Mr. Wally Phelps will be here, and that will be our extra episode for October.
I like that it's become a tradition for Halloween for Joey
Yeah.
Image to come on the show. Like it's something to look forward to.
Well, he's such a fan of Halloween. Like, he is a huge fan of the Halloween movies.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago when we did the kind of like the collaboration where we discussed Halloween 1 and 2 on this show and then Halloween 3 on my show.
Hmm.
And that just led into me going down like a rabbit hole of movies. And I remember he and I, talking over Twitter about like Scream and I think one other movie we talked about.
I have done a Scream marathon too the last couple of weeks. We've been watching the Scream movies over again, and those still are great to watch.
I haven't seen the fourth one yet. I like the first one the best.
Hmm.
The third one was pretty good, and the ones I've seen I would put Scream 2 at the bottom. Did you watch the trailer for
Yes,
the
I
upcoming
did.
one? I'm excited for it.
Me too. I'm glad they're bringing all these old franchises back. I'm for it. I'm for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we got a lot of news to get to. Would you like to get to the news for tonight?
Sure.
All of today's stories were submitted to us by Mr. Armez Jackson, and I am the Rampage. If you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. This first story comes from Yahoo.com. Super Mario superfans have catapulted the cult classic 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie to the #1 spot on Amazon sales charts, even though it's terrible.
Because of course they did.
For a movie with a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, I can't even believe it's got 28%. That's regarded by its star actor as the worst thing I ever did. The Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993 is having a surprising renaissance. On Amazon's video sales charts, it took the top spot on Tuesday morning, even besting the latest Fast and Furious Blu-ray release. That's because of the upcoming Super Mario Brothers animated movie. The 1993 adaptation is regarded as the first live-action adaptation of a video game to film. Unfortunately, it was a critical and commercial flop, which set a precedent for the next 20 years of video games being adapted to film. So what do you think about everybody pushing that awful movie to the #1 spot on Amazon?
I'm being serious. I'm not surprised, because when you announce the cast for the animated movie, then everybody's going to be like, "Oh yeah, do you remember that really bad movie from several years ago?" So then they go watch it.
Call it a cult classic.
Well,
is it though?
I don't know about all that.
Insert Chris Hemsworth going, "Is it though?
Is it though?
Is it though?"
Yeah, I mean, it's going to pique curiosity because the Mario name is out there. You mentioned Mario movie. People still remember the one from the 90s that was really bad. And that's usually why it's remembered, is because of how bad it is. It has some so bad it's entertaining qualities.
No, it doesn't.
But I'm not saying that it's overall a so bad it's good movie. I said it has its moments.
If you want to know our thoughts, go back and listen to our commentary track for it. That was like back in 2018.
Which is still arguably my favorite commentary track that we've done.
Yeah, that movie's so bad.
It really is.
I literally bought the DVD on Amazon because it's one of those movies that before then, every time I walked into Walmart, you know, the $5 bin, it would just be overflowing with Super Mario Brothers. We decided to do that commentary track. I go to like 2 or 3 different Walmarts, can't find the movie anywhere. So I order it on Amazon, got it, watched it, and then after that, guess where I start seeing it all over the place? Best Buy $5 bins, seeing it at flea markets. I'm like, really? I paid like $10 for this hunk of shit on Amazon. Then I ended up giving it to Brandon Rutledge, and it took me about 6 months to actually ship it to him because I didn't want to touch it. That movie's just terrible.
I'm just picturing you like walking into a Walmart and you see nothing but Super Mario Brothers DVDs. Yeah. Then you go to Best Buy and then they just start falling out of the sky and you wake up in a cold sweat and you just scream at the top of your lungs and wake up your neighbors.
You walk into Walmart and you hear from the back of the store, "Son of a bitch!"
I imagine that your own personal hell would be being stuck in a room watching that movie on loop for the rest of eternity.
It would be. I can't stand that movie. It's gross. It's not good. It's just awful. There's nothing redeeming about that movie.
Yeah, it's memorable for all the wrong reasons. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Our next story comes to us from one of our favorite sites, NintendoLife.com. Konami competition tasked indie devs with reviving its classic IP. This is actually a really cool story. It's currently hosting a Japanese indie game contest asking small team developers to create action and shooting games based on its classic IP. The winner scores 2 million yen, which equates to 18 grand, and will be given the opportunity to commercialize their game, with Konami investing up to 30 million yen, around $270,000, in development funds and providing full support for the product. This includes supervision, production advice, localization support, promotion, and equipment. Konami has listed over 80 different games that creators can reimagine, remake, or create sequels for. Some of the titles mentioned include Twinbee, Gradius in series like Gomon, I assume is how you pronounce that.
Goemon? I don't remember. That.
Earlier this week, a rumor doing the rounds suggested Konami was interested in bringing back older IPs such as Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, and Silent Hill. Some of these could be with the assistance of third-party studios. So what do you think of this? I think it's an amazing opportunity for an indie developer.
If you're an indie developer and you have a good idea for, a new installment in the Castlevania series, or Gradius, or Konami had so many good games back in the day. Like if I was an indie developer, I would be jumping on this in a second.
100%. If you're a developer and you get the chance to reimagine or make a sequel to a classic Konami game, what would you do?
Oh, it'd definitely be Castlevania. That's no doubt.
Yeah,
Castlevania would be my first choice, and then second choice would probably be Contra.
Contra's a good one. Yeah, I think we're way overdue for a new Castlevania.
Yeah.
Way overdue. So I think that's without a doubt the number one. But I'm with you.
There's been some really good Castlevania clones the past couple of years. Like Bloodstained is really good, those games. But just to have like a good classic side-scrolling Castlevania game, like I'm in such a mood for that right now.
Agreed.
This next story is also from Nintendo Life. Xseed is bringing an updated version of Corpse Party. I don't know why I say Corpse Party, like my voice broke like I was 14. Corpse Party to Switch later this month, just in time for Halloween. Xseed Games has announced an updated version of the 1996 cult horror classic Corpse Party will be released on the Switch here on the 20th of October for $19.99. There'll be a 10% discount at launch. The Switch version was originally released in Japan earlier this year. The original game was previously released on the 3DS in 2016. The game is described as a battleless RPG with decision-making and point-and-click adventure gameplay. Did you ever get to play this game? It looks pretty cool. It's kind of got that anime look to it, which isn't really my cup of tea. But, I might give something like this a shot because it's got a really cool kind of dark art style to it.
Well, I do need a game to review that has a horror theme.
Yeah.
For the end of the month, so this intrigues me. Everything from the look of it. I never played the original one, but it does intrigue me.
Yeah.
So I may pick this up. It's $20 and there'll be a 10% discount at launch. So why not?
Yeah, pick it up for $18 if you're interested. What is today? Today is the 13th, so you got 7 days left before it drops.
Yeah.
On the Switch.
I'll have to play it a lot for a week.
Yeah.
But no, it looks fun. It's something different that I would not normally play. So
yeah, a battleless RPG though, that sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, that's the intriguing part to me.
Yeah.
Also from NintendoLife.com, I'm excited about this.
Yes.
Asper reveals 2 Star Wars bundles for Nintendo Switch. Asper Media, or the first bundle, Star Wars Jedi Knight Collection, includes both Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. The second Star Wars Racer and Commando combo features Star Wars Republic Commando and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. The 2 bundles actually leaked some time ago, but it's nice to see the releases be officially announced. Each of these will be launching across Europe and North America on November 16th, priced at $30. They'll be arriving on PS4 a little earlier on October 26th for the same price. So I remember the Jedi Knight games. I never played them, but I remember watching a lot of the gameplay.
Yeah, I played Jedi Outcast, I think on the original Xbox. It might have been the original Xbox or the PS2. Didn't play Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, but I'm definitely intrigued of getting that bundle because I remember really liking Jedi Outcast, so I'd love to go back and replay it. I don't know. It doesn't say if they're remastered or anything, or if it's just sort of maybe it's still the same game without any kind of remastering or anything. But it would be interesting to go back and play and see what they're like now, because I remember enjoying that game a lot.
Which, speaking of Star Wars, I don't know if you read, but season 3 of The Mandalorian started filming today.
I'm so ready. I'm ready for Book of Boba Fett. Oh,
I'm ready for, well, that too, but I'm way ready for Kenobi.
yeah, I'm ready for all. Just give me all of it, all the Star Wars. I need
2022 is going to be a great year for Star Wars fans.
Yes, it will be.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, I had actually the Star Wars Racer. I had the N64 Star Wars Racer branded console when I first got the N64, and that was like 99, I think, because I played. My brother actually let me have his N64 for a long time because he bought it when it was new, and I played it for a while, and then sorry. Sorry about that. I need to unlink my phone from the computer. But yeah, and when I actually bought my own N64, it was the Star Wars Racer branded N64. I wish I still had it.
And that would be cool. I remember that. I never had one because I got the I just had the basic original N64. But they did a few different ones. I remember the transparent green one. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I always liked the transparent ones, but that's such a thing of the 90s, like to have something that's transparent. Like that was kind of the last of the things in the 90s that were transparent. We had transparent phones, transparent game consoles, everything had to be transparent.
I was a big fan of the transparent Game Boy Color.
Yeah, had those too, transparent.
That was my favorite one.
Let's see. Our last story here comes from hypebeast.com. Xbox celebrates 20th anniversary with translucent special edition controller. Speaking of transparent things, November 15th marks the 20th anniversary of the very original Xbox. Holy crap, dude. 20
Put me
years.
in the grave.
Oh, God. Where is time going?
Right.
In celebration of this milestone, Microsoft is now launching a special edition translucent controller for those on the Xbox Series X and S. It's based on the new controllers designed for its next-gen console. The upcoming release carries all the usual functions you'd expect from newer Xbox controllers, including the upgraded D-pad design and textured grips. A translucent cover takes over most of the front side as a nod to the original Xbox debug kit shipped out 2 decades ago, while the brand's signature green tones return as welcome accents on the Xbox home button itself and the padding on the rear. Along with the new controller, Xbox will also release a stereo headset boasting a similar translucent design, as well as green accenting by the earpieces and microphone. It's going to be pre-orders now on the Microsoft's website and will go for 70 bones.
I mean, if I owned an Xbox, I would probably get one of these because I like commemorative stuff like this. I think it's cool that they're doing one, that they're actually making a deal about it being the 20-year anniversary of the original system.
If they really wanted to make it a 20th anniversary controller, they should have put out the big original Xbox.
Oh my God.
The big can. It felt like you were holding a canned ham. It's so huge.
That controller is the Super Mario Brothers movie of video game controllers. I said it. I don't regret
huge.
it. I could not stand that controller. It was just so like, it was the size of my head.
Yeah.
It might as well have been the size of my head. Like as great as the GameCube controller was around that same time, the Xbox controller was the polar opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know who designed it or what they were on, but God, I hated that controller. I just talking about it makes me angry.
I remember I had the original Xbox. I had the original, canned ham controller,
Yep.
and I remember, not liking it, thinking it was just a big unwieldy beast of a controller. And then I played the newer controller at on a demo at Toys R Us, and immediately bought it. I was like, this is so much better than the other controller.
No, I totally feel
And
you.
I
I do like
and I
the
think it was
newer
about $70 back then.
the newer generation of like Xbox controllers. I do like those. It's just that I don't know what they were thinking with that original one. Though
I don't know.
that being said, I at some point I would like to get an original Xbox complete with canned ham controller.
Yeah.
Just to have it. Like I wish I had kept all my original Xbox stuff.
Yeah, me too. I still remember selling it, and I still regret it to this day, selling my original Xbox. I had so many games for that thing. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mostly played Xbox for Halo,
Hmm.
but there were some other good games on it too. Like we're for November we got to do the Halo roundtable. I know we've talked about it for a while, but
Yeah.
we could tell some great stories with that.
We got to have Wally on for that one.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, and we have some this month in video game history. Want to do that?
Yeah, let's go for
Let's
it.
do it. October 18th of 1985, Nintendo releases Duck Hunt for the NES in North America, and that damn dog.
One of the original trolls, the Duck Hunt dog.
Yeah.
I I liked playing Duck Hunt a lot when I was a kid. You know, I've told the story about going over to my aunt's house to play NES, and that's where I was introduced to Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers. She had the Mario Brothers Duck Hunt combo. So naturally, when I see that you have a gun accessory, I'm like, yeah, I want to try this out.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget the first time I heard that damn dog's laugh, and I never wanted to hear it again. If you've never seen it, when they introduced the Duck Hunt dog as a character for Smash Brothers, the trailer for it is so great.
Yeah.
If you're to give like a quick description of it, it has like the old 8-bit style graphics from Duck Hunt. The dog pops up because whoever's playing the game, missed the ducks or whatever. So the dog pops out of the bushes, starts laughing, and the screen gets really dark. And the dog's just kind of looking around like, uh-oh. And then 8-bit versions of Mario, Bowser, Samus, Link, and I think one or two others show up. And they show up to fight the dog.
I
It's
love it.
awesome. Yeah, it's great.
I still can't believe, nobody knew. Like, everybody was so surprised to find out a few years ago that you could control the other duck with the second controller. And I was like, how did you not know about that? It said it in the manual.
Yeah. Speaking of Smash Brothers, we didn't talk about they announced Sora from Kingdom
Oh,
Hearts as
that's
the
right. Yeah.
final uh final fighter, which I was hoping for Crash Bandicoot just for the nostalgia purposes, but I think Sora is an excellent choice. Like Kingdom Hearts is still a huge franchise, and I think the fact that they have a character that's pretty much a Disney character
Mhm.
because it's a collaboration between Disney and Square is still a huge get by Nintendo. So I applaud them for that. Like
Yeah.
I think it was a great choice.
I got to jump back into Kingdom Hearts so I can review it soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've been every now and then like I get the urge to go back and play that game. But on October 9th, 1988, Nintendo revamps Doki Doki Panic and releases it as Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES in America and the PAL region. This is also the game that Birdo made her debut, and it was released in Japan as Super Mario USA in 1992. And I put this in here because after reading it, I thought to myself, I've never played the original Doki Doki Panic. And sure, it's probably the exact same game with different
Mm.
characters, but I'd be interested to play that version just for the experience.
Yeah, I think the original character almost looked like an Aladdin type of character,
Yes.
and it would be interesting to go back and play the original game just to see how close it really is.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be something to review one day.
I think so. We should.
Yeah.
October 8th of 1992, Midway Games releases the Mortal Kombat arcade game in North America, which features bloody fatalities, digitized characters, and started a franchise of games and movies. I saw a really cool video the other day on Twitter for the 30th anniversary. The Mortal Kombat Twitter account has been releasing videos of the original the original videos they did of the game, and they showed all the original video of them doing the moves for Scorpion, and it's so cool to watch them do it, and then they do a side by side comparison in the game. It's very, very cool.
I'll have to check those out. Yeah, it's crazy to think next year will be the 30-year anniversary of that game. And it's I think you got to put it up there as one of the most successful franchises of all time,
I
because you
think
look at
so.
all the sequels. I mean, games are still being made. You had the movies from the 90s, you had the web series, you have the new movie, which I don't know if you saw it, but I actually liked the new movie.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the original movie, the 1994 or five when it came out, but
Hmm.
this one was very, very, very watchable.
Yeah, I think we could top the Super Mario Brothers commentary track if we did Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah, I don't. I would probably leave in the middle. And I want to apologize to the listeners for all the dings and rings coming through. Nobody wants to talk to me all day long until I'm podcasting, and then every single person on the planet's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, I'm doing a podcast, which you're not watching right now. Thanks.
That's always how it goes.
And my phone is hooked into the computer. I got the ringer off on my phone, so now it's ringing through the computer. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta undo that. That's such a pain.
I always forget that my phone's connected to my computer.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here trying to talk to you, and I'm just getting dings and rings and everything else. I'm so embarrassed right now. So I apologize
Yeah,
for anyone listening to the show.
all good. On October 20th, 1997, Nintendo releases the new style Super NES, a remodeled version of the Super NES in North America.
What was
I
this? Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in stores. I never had one personally.
I don't like this version of it.
No, I much prefer the original. I know this one's a little sleeker and probably smaller, but when I think of the Super Nintendo, I think of the original version. I think of the big gray block.
Yeah, I like the gray block.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's synonymous with the name Super Nintendo.
It's
So
kind of like
I
the original NES, and then you have the original NES, and then you have the top loader. Ugh, that
mhm.
top loader is so ugly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean I give Nintendo credit for making something new and sleeker, but you can't beat the original.
No,
And I don't hate the newer style version, but I mean, come on, you can't top
yeah,
the perfection of the Super Nintendo.
I still love that original block, man. That's still a cool design.
Yeah, it is.
October 21st of 1998, Wario Land 2 is released for the Game Boy Color.
The last game that I reviewed on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I, I mean, I can't really say anything different than I said a couple of weeks ago, but I think the Wario series is still to this day very underrated. When you look at the spinoffs of the Mario franchise, Wario has to be up there. And then, and I'm sure I'll review these at some point, but the WarioWare micro games are so much fun. So it's
Yeah.
been cool to see the evolution of the Wario franchise. But I love its roots with the classic platforming.
Yeah, I never
And
really
that
played any of them.
you should. I'm hoping that at some point they'll release some Game Boy games on the Switch
I hope
for
so.
the online store. And I think the Wario Land games, all four of them, need to go on there. And finally, and this one made me feel old.
Hmm.
On October 26th, when we get to that day, it will be the 20-year anniversary of Pikmin being released for the Nintendo GameCube in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I have been wanting a new Pikmin game for a while. I know they made one for the 3DS, but it was more like a side scroller and not the almost like open world feel that you have. It's not open world technically, but it has that kind of feel when you play the first three of the Pikmin games. I wish they would do a new one for the Switch. I just think it would do so well. People love these games. The gameplay is so addictive and it's so much fun. It's one of those games that you can get sucked in for hours, just building your number of Pikmin you have and your different color types and things like that. So it's a good franchise and one of my personal favorites.
Nintendo has a lot of franchises they need to pick back up again.
That they do.
If it's not Mario or Link, they don't care.
Yeah, that reminds me, there was a hilarious meme I saw on Facebook the other day. So the scene from X-Men First Class when Magneto's saying he wants to see the real Mystique,
Yeah.
and then like whenever she actually shows up, he says perfection.
Mm-hmm.
There, there's a side by side. It shows a picture of Zelda from Breath of the Wild, and he says, "I want to see the real Zelda." And it goes through literally every iteration of Zelda down to the original, but he still says it. And then the last picture is a picture of Link, and then he says perfection.
I like it.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's a good meme. I like that perfection meme. They always make me laugh.
Yeah, those you don't see them very often, but when you do,
Yeah.
they make you laugh.
Before we go into our review for tonight, Derek has shout outs.
Yes. So as always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Axblade07, Daniel Salmon, Armez Jackson, Hand Solo, Carlos Longoria, Steph Sergeant Sketch, Brandon Rutledge, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Image, and Ron Johnson. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions. But as Jason was saying before we started, we have gone below the $50 level. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so we are going to be doing the extra episode, but we'll be posting it after it's done recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you want to get us back up to the $50 level, you will get first listen to our bonus tracks that we do. Fun commentary tracks such as we mentioned earlier, Super Mario Brothers. Most recently, we did Clue. That was a lot of fun. Other ones I'm sure that we'll have planned in the future. So get us back up to that $50 level, and we will give you exclusive commentary tracks and bonus episodes. And if you want to do that, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, send us your social media info either on Twitter, Facebook, email, or on Patreon so we can give you a proper social media shout out.
And a lot of it too is sometimes Patreon does some weird things with their payouts and charging every month. So every once in a while you have to go back in, especially if you have like a debit or a credit card on your Patreon account. Make sure you're checking that every once in a while because sometimes they do some weird things where it won't charge you correctly and you need to go back in and redo your whatever card you're using or whatever. So if you are a patron and you're not sure, just go check and make sure that you are your card information is up to date in Patreon because they get weird with that sometimes. So get us back over that $50 level, and we just need a couple of bucks to get back above 50, and we'll return in November to do our extra tracks for you guys.
Yes.
And tonight, Derek is talking about. Is there anything more haunting than Metroid music?
Not very much. Not very much when it comes to the gaming world. So I've been very much looking forward to talking about this game, even back to when we were doing Metroid Month a while back on the show. And that would be Metroid Prime for the Nintendo GameCube. It's an action adventure game developed by Retro Studios and published by Nintendo. It's the fourth main installment in the Metroid franchise and the first game in the series to use 3D computer graphics and a first-person perspective. Now, I'm sure you remember, like I do, when this game came out and it was announced that it was going to be a first-person shooter. That alone got very mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Because leading up to that, Metroid was known as a side-scroller, third-person game. So a lot of people were like, well, why change it? Why mess with, because Super Metroid is regarded as one of the best Super Nintendo games of all time. Mm-hmm. Really tough to top. So why would you change it? As a side note, they coincided this release with Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance, which played exactly like Super Metroid. So I know a lot of people prefer that game because of that. But once Prime came out, and I want to preface that by saying I liked the Metroid series. You know, I remember playing Super Metroid, but I wasn't a diehard fan. So the first person perspective didn't really bother me. If anything, I thought, well, Nintendo doesn't really have a notable first person shooter franchise.
Well, at the time, you know, this came out right after, this was 2002. So this is what, a year or two after Halo had dropped for the Xbox. Mm-hmm. And Halo was the gold standard at that point for first-person shooters. And to turn Metroid into a first-person shooter in the style of Halo was a no-brainer to me. It just, that world just lends itself so perfectly for that, you know, exploration and, you know, looking for secrets, and just that whole world just fits so well into, you know, an open, you know, 3D first-person world.
Well, that's very notable even in the very beginning of the game when you're on the space station and you go through like a tutorial of how to, you know, move your helmet so you can look around, how you can aim, how you shoot, jump, do all these things to prep you for being immersed in that world. And I could tell from the very beginning that, hey, this works. You know, this was the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, even like, and as you go through the space station and you start to learn more about, you know, what's going on, and then you fight the Parasite Queen when you get to the core of the station, and then you run into, to me, the coolest version of Ridley, who's pretty much completely robotic at this point. His name's Meta Ridley in this game. But he's just so freaking huge and looks so badass. It was like if you combined Ridley with the Terminator. Mm-hmm. I just thought, you know, I thought he was the coolest character in this entire game, you know, playing it back in 2002. Mm-hmm. So the story of the game is you're, as usual, battling space pirates who are conducting experiments on a planet called Talon 4. Now, you start out the game with almost all of your standard power-ups. in escaping the space station, your suit is damaged, which converts it back to like its base form.
Hmm.
Like you don't have your charge beam, you don't have missiles or anything like that. You literally can jump and shoot beams out of your gun. And that's literally it. So once you leave the station, you go down to the planet, and from there it's the story starts to unfold. And what's cool is through your visor you can actually scan a lot of items, uh, wildlife, enemies, documents that actually tell you a lot of story about the game, which I, playing through it its most recent time, is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I walk into a different area, I'll automatically turn the scan visor on,
Yeah.
and I'll just start scanning everything just because I want to read everything about it.
The HUD in this game is still to this day one of my favorite HUD overlays in any first person shooter game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And there are there are quite a few cool boss battles in this game too. Like whenever you do finally fight Meta Ridley, it's right before you get to the final boss of the game. And when he shows up and you hear that, you're like, shit's on. And it's a really cool fight. And everything from the music, it's raining while you're fighting him. It's just the visuals in this game. Yeah, the graphics are a little primitive by today's standards, but
It still
back then,
looks good though.
yeah, it really does. I wish there was an HD version of this game, which I think we are going to get
I'm sure
at
we
some
are.
point. So, but even still, I think the visuals still hold up to a degree, and I don't know what much more I can say other than I think, was it a bold move to go in this direction for the franchise? Maybe. I don't think it's as bold as it was initially made out to be.
Yeah. It
But
seemed like a natural progression to me. I mean, you took Mario from a 2D world to a 3D world very easily with the Nintendo 64. They didn't make a Metroid game for the Nintendo 64. And then, they come because honestly, I don't think they could have made this game on the N64. There's no way you would have had that sort of control with just that one single analog stick. You have to have the dual analog sticks to play a game like this. And it seems like it's such a perfect transition from that. And I don't know why they don't do this now. I mean, we have Metroid Dread. Why can't we do a Metroid series where you get a Metroid 2D side scroller like Metroid Dread, and then the next year you get a 3D first person shooter, and then you kind of flip flop like that. That
well,
would
in that
make
way you
sense. Yeah.
appease both fan bases, like I mentioned with Metroid Fusion
Hmm.
for the Game Boy Advance, which I teased this before we started the show, but I remember firing up the game the first time I played it to get ready for my review, and I noticed Metroid Fusion bonus features on the main menu, and I completely forgot about this. So you could link the Metroid Fusion game through the Game Boy Advance link cable to the GameCube, and through that you can play the original Metroid on the GameCube. Like there's an option for you to just select it.
That's cool.
And but the coolest thing, and I actually played through the game with this, you get the Metroid Fusion suit in Metroid Prime.
That's awesome.
I it looks really cool in 3D. Like I like the Fusion suit a lot. I know it's quite different than the traditional power suit, but I just think it looks really freaking cool. So I thought that was a cool little Easter egg that they threw in, and I was really happy that they made those games connect
Yeah.
like that. So it's little nuances like that, but kind of dive in a little more into the story, and you learn more and more about this as you progress through the game, is that there was a meteor that crashed on Talon 4 that contained a creature called Metroid Prime, and the Chozo built this chamber to basically contain it because of how powerful it was, and it was basically causing this material called phazon to spread throughout the planet. Now, Metroid Prime is the final boss of the game, and you have to get you eventually get a suit upgrade to make you basically not it makes you essentially immune to the phazon, because if you touch it without wearing the suit, it's extremely it damages you quite a bit very quickly. So what's cool about the final boss is that it's in different phases. So you jump in this crater, you fight it, damage it, and then it retreats deeper in the crater, and then you jump in after it, and then it also teases the sequels that we eventually got, because the Metroid Prime creature steals your phazon suit as you're escaping the crater. And if you complete the game and you collect all of the items, you get a cool post-credit scene of Dark Samus being born, which is Metroid Prime in Samus's suit, essentially.
That's cool.
Yeah, so the sequels are pretty good too, but to me they don't capture the magic quite the same way as the original Metroid Prime. Like, there's just something about firing the missiles for the first time in first person, turning into the morph ball, which then you go into a third person view, turning into the morph ball for the first time, like doing all these impactful things reminded me of the first time I played Ocarina of Time. You doing the traditional things from the original games in a new way because you're in 3D.
Yeah.
Was very cool. But I like Metroid Prime a lot. I've had so much fun going back and playing through this game and just remembering all the little nuances about it, and just seeing the evolution of that story was just fantastic.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go back and replay this game. I've been waiting on a new, a version of it for the Switch. I mean, I've been keeping my eye out for a copy for my Gamecube, which I need to just go ahead and pull the trigger on that. But last time I played this was in 2008.
Wow.
Me and a friend of mine at his apartment busted this game out, and over a weekend I kept going over there, and we would take turns getting through this game, and that was the last time I played this. Was about 13 years ago since I played this game.
Yeah, it had been a while for me. Luckily for me, I still have my original copy that I bought back in 2002.
I sold off my original copy back when I sold my original GameCube.
Yeah, I didn't keep too many of my original GameCube games. I think I kept Metroid Prime, I kept Wind Waker, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and I think Mario Sunshine were the only ones that I kept. But I'm definitely glad I did, because I didn't have to go to either the Trading Post or Price Busters here in town to see if they had a copy. But once I guess the anger of the first person decision wore off, this game became quite popular. It became one of the best-selling games on the GameCube, and it was the second best-selling game of November 2002 in North America, only behind a little-known game called Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It sold 250,000 units in the first week of its release.
That's a lot.
Which I think is pretty darn good. Electronic Gaming Monthly awarded the game a perfect review score, and it won numerous Game of the Year awards and was praised for its detailed graphics, special effects, varied environments, moody soundtrack, and sound effects. And also innovative gameplay centered on exploration in contrast with action games such as Halo, while staying faithful to the Metroid formula. And that I think is a little detail that gets overlooked, is that, yeah, you're playing it in a different way, but it's still a Metroid game. It still feels like a Metroid game. You're still in that world.
See, that's what you need from a Metroid game. As long as it keeps that feeling of isolation and loneliness, and you're alone and on this alien planet, and everything is trying to kill you. You know, like, and as long as you keep that, that's what makes Metroid Metroid. You know, going through finding new upgrades to your suit and your weapons, and figuring out the story as you go along. I mean, so many games have emulated Metroid to this point. Like, it's such an influential series. I still haven't played Dread yet. I want to get that this weekend. I'm so excited to play it. I just, it's been, really couldn't do that this last week, but I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to playing that. And I really hope that Dread does really well enough to kick Nintendo in the butt and show them that Metroid is still a viable franchise for them, and they'll start making more Metroid games. Because 5, 6, 7 years in between games is too much. That's not cool. Nintendo Metroid is it's one of your flagship series. I mean, that first game came out in what, 1986, like, for the NES, and was one of your greatest games for that system. And Super Metroid being one of the greatest games on the Super Nintendo. Metroid Prime is one of the greatest games for the Gamecube. Just bring it back. Just treat it like you do Zelda and Mario, and just give us one every couple of years.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Metroid Prime being one of the best games on the GameCube, because IGN named it the best game for the Nintendo GameCube. And GameSpy ranked it third, only behind The Wind Waker and Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Nintendo Power also ranked Metroid Prime as the sixth best game of the 2000s. And I will say this, I think we use this analogy a lot. If you're a GameCube fan and you're a collector,
Mm-hmm.
and you only get the option to have 5 games, this is one of those 5.
Absolutely.
Like, it's up there when we're talking about best GameCube games. It's up there with Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say, Resident Evil 4. From what I've played of it, I think it deserves to be on there.
That was the definitive version for me, was the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, for sure. And some of the scores, IGN gave it a 9.8 out of 10. Game Informer gave it a 9.5. As I mentioned, Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a 10 out of 10. GameSpy gave it a 96. I'm going to give this game a solid 9. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the best games for the GameCube. I would put it up there with Super Metroid as being one of the best Metroid games of the entire franchise. And I love Super Metroid. I think Metroid Fusion is great as well. This deserves to be in that conversation. Everything from the gameplay, the world that you're set in, the look, the music, the atmosphere, like, all of it just works, and it all flows together so well.
Mm-hmm.
That if you've never played this game, you are doing yourself a disservice.
You know what Nintendo needs to do? They need to do the Metroid Prime trilogy as one big game. A remaster as one big game, a lot like the way EA did for Mass Effect. The Mass Effect trilogy. Just do it as one big re-release of the Metroid Prime trilogy. And you'd be printing money. Like, people would just eat that up if you did that.
I would buy it day one.
Me too. I'm there. I mean, I don't think you have to do much to this game to make it look better. I mean, the controls are pretty much damn near perfect as it is, and you just need a little bit of a fresh coat of paint. Up-res it a little bit for the graphics. Audio's still perfect. The music's perfect. There's not much you really got to do for these games to make it better.
No, I completely agree. It needs to happen. And I think it is going to happen. I think there is, if it's not the trilogy, I definitely think it will be the original. But I think we are going to get some type of Metroid Prime re-release.
Well, I think
fairly soon.
Nintendo, they're going to come out with the full price tag. It'll be a $60 game. If you're going to do that, it should be the entire trilogy. If you're going to charge $60 for a remaster, it should be the entire trilogy. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. But yeah, that's my review of Metroid Prime.
My money is waiting for you, Nintendo. Just come and take it. Come and take it. Give me what I want.
Yep.
But yeah, I would agree with you. I beat this game, twice. I beat it when I originally played it. Beat it again with my buddy Tony around 2008. We played it again. I haven't played it since, but from what I remember of this game, I totally agree. It's a solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it was so fun to go back and replay it. It's one that, back when we did Metroid Month, I know we never got to Metroid Prime, but I knew in the back of my mind that one day I was going to pull this out of the archive and review it. So
yeah,
I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I love pretty much anything Metroid. So as long as if it's out there, I want to play it. And there's still a lot of Metroid games I haven't played. Like I never got to play Fusion. I want to go back and play it. So that's why I wish Nintendo would just put everything out there. Just vomit it all onto the Switch. I'll give you another $5-10 a month, and because I want to play it all.
Yes.
But that brings us to the end of the show. Next week, I'm going to be playing a game that I picked up on the Switch the other day. It's on sale right now. If you want to go pick it up, it's on sale on Steam and PS4. It's called Savage Halloween. It's an indie game based on, it's a Halloween-themed game, but it's a mix of, like, somebody took Contra and Mega Man and some side-scrolling shooters and some stuff, like some Battletoads type stuff, and just mashed it all together and put, like, a Castlevania coating on it. Like that spooky Halloween coating on it. It's like a side-scrolling shooter. It's so worth the money. Just go pick it up right now. That's what I'm going to be playing next week. Savage Halloween. You won't be disappointed. Trust me.
I'll take your word for it and I'll download it.
Awesome. Well, that's what I'm reviewing next week. So before we get out of here, what's going on over at the Derek Diamond Experience?
Yeah, so this week I'm chatting with casting editor and commercial director Luke Cheney, who's worked on various reality TV projects, most notably The Voice. So if you're a fan of that, if you watch most like competition-based reality shows, you know how they'll show like little highlight packages of the singer before they actually, come on stage and sing or whatever the case may be. He put those together during his time working on The Voice. So I always thought, the packages they put together for the individual people were all really well done. So, and I knew next to nothing about reality TV and how it works behind the scenes. So I got to learn a lot about that. And he's just a cool dude to talk to in general. I'm actually going to be appearing on his podcast coming up in December.
That's cool.
It's called the Movie Time Capsule podcast, where the premise is the world is ending and you have 60 minutes to pick as many movies as you can to put in a time capsule. But the issue is, so like if you pick, say, like a certain franchise or like the works of a certain director or actor, you can only use one movie for each question that he asks. So I'll be doing his show in a couple of months, and once it's posted, I'll let everyone know. But it was really fun conversation, and I can't wait to do his show too. So you can check that out. If you're watching live, it'll be out tomorrow. If you're listening on the download, it's already out. And you can follow me on all the social medias at D Diamond Podcast.
Awesome. This Friday on Open Micers, earlier tonight, we got to talk to Jackie Neiman Jones. If that name sounds familiar, she played Debbie Manos in Manos, Hands of Fate, and which is a staple for Misty's, the MST3K fans. If you've never seen that episode of MST3K, that's actually the very first episode I ever saw of Mystery Science Theater 3000 was Manos, Hands of Fate. Widely regarded as one of the worst movies ever made, but she has taken it and ran with it over the last 30 years, making her own sequels to it and keeping the Manos universe alive. So she was fun to talk to. Go check it out at Open Micers on Twitter, Open Micers Podcast on Facebook. And I think that's going to do it for this week. Is there anything else we haven't discussed before we walk out of the door?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, let me play our music here. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Any news stories, or you want to tell us that we're cool or we're not cool or whatever, just email it to us right over there. We're also at nerdcaveretro.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro, Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. Go get you some shirts or any kind of merch you want. We got all kind of stuff, coffee mugs, bags, everything over at ncrmerch.com. Running sales all month long in October. It helps out the show. And if you can't do that, go over to Patreon. Patreon.com/nerdcaveretro if you want to keep us above that $50 level. We need some more patrons. We need patrons back. We love you guys. Help us. Help us get above $50 again every month so we can keep doing commentary tracks. If you can't do that, leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Oh, a fellow checker, eh?
Almost forgot. That was a good show.
Yeah.
I don't
Some
know if
good
you
stuff in there.
noticed some of the bat gif, the bats gif I have going on the Nerd Cave Retro Twitch right now.
Yeah, no, I did notice that. It looked really cool with the pumpkins too and everything.
Yeah. I was going to do a Halloween background, but I forgot and didn't have time to do it this afternoon.
Funny enough, I didn't hear any of the rings and the beeps you were talking about.
I hope it didn't come through on the recording, but we'll see.
Hopefully not.
But yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and go so I can edit this stuff up, and I will talk to you later, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for watching on Twitch, and we'll see you guys next week.